Good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. So let's get open for business and let's wake up those football gods. Wake up there, guys. Wake up on this hump day. It is the middle of the frickin' week, and this could be the last hump day for the Dallas Cowboys season unless some things fall in place for them. We at 1 o'clock have to take on the New York stinking Giants, and we have to take care of business ourselves and get a win. And then we got to kick back, watch the 4 o'clock games, and wait for the Sunday night game. The Washington football team against the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles knowing that they're out of it, having to play the spoiler role if they want to play it at all. The only hope that I can think, because we talked to Philly 500 last night, as he was doing his walk of shame, and he's like, man, I want draft picks. I want draft picks. But the only thing that I may say gives me hope is Doug Peterson may look at this and say, I need at least a victory to try and save my job. And that this game is in Philadelphia. And I don't know that the Philadelphia Eagles want to have the Washington football team have a celebration party at the link. That literally they beat you, they will have a party at the link. And I think that the Eagles probably won't like that too much. And maybe that'll get them to dig deep and try and fight in this game. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But, at this point, you got to have a little hope. But we got plenty of time to talk about it. We got a few more days that we can work on that, and I'm going to be here. My back is killing me, so I got nothing to do but try and get through this. And, of course, I'll be putting out plenty of content to you guys. So I want to talk about the quiet assassin as opposed to the North Dakota assassin. I want to talk about Amari Cooper. It's amazing because a lot of people at the beginning of the season were saying, don't pay that guy. He's not worth the money and stuff. And, the Cowboys risked losing him by allowing him. For a day, he went to Washington. And had he gone to Washington, Washington might be in a totally different place. Washington offered more money, but he said, hey, I want to come back to Dallas. Now, the thing about Amari Cooper is, I call him the quiet assassin because you don't remember that he's on the team. You see Michael Gallup and everything else and the energy and everything else. You see C.D. Lamb, he's, doing all this stuff. Amari Cooper just does his job and just kind of fades into the background. And quietly, you don't realize how much stuff he's done. Right now in this season, he's got 1,073 yards, 86 completions, the most in his career. And when you think about him not having Dak Prescott, having, Ben DiNucci and having Gigi and Andy Dalton, that right there alone is an amazing thing. And he's only about 110 yards, 115 yards away from all time for him for yardage. This is huge. 125 yards from 1,200 yards. So when you look at this and you look at what he's done since he's been here, yeah, that guy's good. And the most important thing is he had this label that he disappeared on road games last year. Well, that doesn't seem to be the case this year. He has shown up and shown off everywhere. But I want to go on a stroll down memory lane here. I want to go back to what the talking heads were saying when the trade originally happened.
You're trading away a guy of that caliber, does it make you think, man, we're giving up?
I mean, I don't even know how to answer that, but
I'm sorry.
Yeah. But no, if I knew how to run a team, I'll be running one. You know what I mean? I can sit here and say my opinion on a lot of things, but I don't know what plans they have for us upstairs like that, and it's the name of the business.
That's Jalen Richard of the Oakland Raiders addressing reporters yesterday. And if you're watching on NBCSN, you may have noticed hanging in the lockers behind him, I saw a Chargers jersey and a Dolphins jersey. I guess with so many guys being traded, they just keep their new jerseys on hand, Peter. So, hey, if you're gone eventually, here you go. Here's your new team.
Mike, at least Jalen Richard didn't go to the Jalen Ramsey quote board after the game, because the Jalen Ramsey quote board, Jalen Ramsey would have said, hey, I can't tell you what's going on in here, but look, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. You all know the problem is Blake Bortles. and obviously everybody in that Oakland locker room thinks, of course we're giving up on this year. We're playing for next year. Now, I will say this. I think Oakland did well in that trade. To get a 1 for a guy who over the last year and a half, whatever it is, 22 games, has not been a number 1 receiver. And to me, I don't know what the issue is. You hear all kinds of stories out of Oakland. Does he love football? Does he really fight for the football? Mm-hmm. Is he going to be one of those guys, one of those Gruden grinder guys? Mm-hmm. I mean, those are the kind of things that you start hearing out of Oakland. But then again, I mean, Khalil Mack would have been a Gruden grinder type guy, and he let him walk.
Yeah, but with Cooper, you're right, Peter. He hasn't performed like a number 1 receiver. And I think to get a first-round pick for him at a time when you are clearly rebuilding makes a ton of sense. It's just another potentially talented player that the Raiders will take into Las Vegas. They have 3 first-round picks now in 2019, and clearly they have given up on this season. And I don't know, is it stunning? I'd like to get your reaction. I was somewhere between surprised and stunned that the players weren't told about the trade by John Gruden himself, that they found out on their phones, and that he won't even address them about the trade until Wednesday. It seems like you could plan it out a little bit better so the coach can break the news to the players and at least get a talking point or two out there that you hope that maybe the players will repeat when being questioned by reporters.
Well, I think the problem there is you're coming off your bye week, and there's really not a way, in my opinion anyway, that they could have done it any differently for a very simple reason. The Cowboys aren't going to keep this under wraps for X number of hours. I mean, the only way you could have done something is if you sent a mass text, a group text to your players and explain to them why you did this. But then somebody's going to leak the text to the press, and I don't know. I don't think they really could have done it any differently. I do think this going forward. Look, the Dallas Cowboys clearly have said that we want to give our young quarterback every chance. There's nobody that's very good in this division this year. We just got officiated maybe out of an overtime and maybe a win in Washington with the bad call, in my opinion, a horrendous call at the end of regulation. On the snap penalty, on the long snapper. And the Cowboys have to be thinking that we can win this division, so we are all in this year. Hey, good for them. I think they overpaid for Cooper, but they're trying.
Think they overpaid for Cooper. That was the point that I wanted to bring in here. So I want to revisit where we are on this, because at the time you had to think that the Cowboys were 3-4. Like you had just said, we had that terrible, they said that the long snapper moved the ball. They moved the ball 5 yards further back instead of trying to get closer when we had over a minute left and only ran 2 plays. We ended up missing the field goal, losing that game, or missing the field goal and not tying it with a chance to win in overtime. But that was what it was. But at that time, it looked like the Cowboys were headed to be in the top 10 in picks. And when you looked at what Amari Cooper was doing that season, 6 games, 22 receptions, 280 yards, and 1 TD, everybody thought for sure the Cowboys got hosed on that one. They're stupid to give up a number 1 for Amari Cooper. But here's the funny thing. That move changed the dynamics of that season. The Cowboys got on the roll. We made it to the playoffs. We ended up beating, people forget, the Seattle Seahawks in the first round of the playoffs. That's right. We beat the Seattle Seahawks with a team that started out 3-4. So when you say, the season's over, I'm not going to go ahead and say if the Cowboys beat the Giants and somehow limp into the playoffs, that they don't have a chance, because they've shown resiliency and they're getting kind of on a roll. But we'll deal with that a little bit later. I want to finish this off. So what happened is that pick wasn't as good. It wasn't a top 10 pick. It was in the later 20s. And what the Raiders used on that pick was J.J. Abraham, safety. Everybody looked at him. Man, the guy's got the size, the ability. He's an absolute beast. and they thought that's going to be their safety. That guy's going to be a game changer. Well, in reality, J.J. Abraham has been injured a lot. He's only played 13 games in 2 years. And when he has played, it has been leaving a lot to be desired. Pro Football Focus rates him at a 31, I think, the lowest rated safety in the NFL. He ends up making a lot of personal foul injuries and things that are costing 15 yards, and he's a liability in coverage. You can almost look, if something, he's got still time to turn things around, but you can look at this right now and say, this guy might be a bust. That potential. And herein lies the problem when you take a player and trade them and think, okay, we're automatically going to get a pick and we're automatically going to get a guy that's going to do great. Doesn't always work out that way. And so for those that say, trade Amari Cooper, he's overpriced. I got to tell you, what he has done already with the Dallas Cowboys, 2 seasons of over 1,000 yards, full seasons, and over 780 in a short season. He still had 1,000 yards that season, just not all with the Cowboys. He is actually, one of those back spasms just hit me. It's like somebody sticks a knife in your back, so forgive me. In games with the Cowboys, he's got over 3,000 yards and 19 touchdowns. Only 6 players have more yards during that time. We're talking about Travis Kelce, DeAndre Hopkins, Stephon Diggs, and Devontae Adams are the only players with more yards during that same time with their teams. And the thing about it is you don't realize the numbers that he's putting up because he's so quiet. He was here 2 years ago for an autograph signing, and you just look at him and it's kind of like there's no smile, there's no react. I mean, he's just like ice water in his veins. And I think that personality of his is part of the reason why we don't understand the greatness that you're seeing. When you see him running routes where he is literally breaking guys' ankles that are trying to keep up with him, you should be in awe of the ability and capability that he has. The only knock on him is he's had nagging injuries. And last year was a year that he definitely was dealing with a lot of them. And I think part of the reason why towards the end of the season that we ended up, he wasn't that guy was, I think, all of the cumulative injuries from the plantar fasciitis and the knee and the ankle and everything else, that it just slowed his ability down. But you've got to look at this and say the Cowboys, with the deal that they made for him, basically one more full year of that contract, they can actually walk away if it ends up being that injuries end up happening. But I'm betting that Amari Cooper is going to be at the Cowboys for several more years. And for those that say, well, we got Amari Cooper, or we can just have Michael Gallup, understand you have a group of receivers that help feed off of each other, because there's no one guy that you can say, if we stop him, we shut down the wide receiver core, because any one of those 3 can destroy you. Be it Michael Gallup, be it Amari Cooper, be it CeeDee Lamb, that you can use those guys on matchups. You can figure out what the weakest link is on a defense, and that's the guy you go to. So you don't want to mess with any of those 3 guys. And I am excited that trade right there for the Cowboys definitely was a great trade, because there was nobody in that draft that's playing anywhere near the level that Amari Cooper is right now. All right, y'all. I'm a little late getting my morning video out, but, sometimes it be like that. But I hope you guys have a great hump day, and when we get to the Cowboys getting on the field, we'll see about the injuries, see if there's any more crazy quotes from Jerry Jones or anything like that, and so on, and we'll definitely bring it to you. And Cop Pizzle, I'm coming for you, dude. I'm coming for you. I'll see you.